Hey, so you know the Indycar engines this year have been a bit, well, I wonder what would happen if we made them even more complicated. This weekend marks the first of a new era for Indycar, the series introducing a new hybrid power unit midway through the season because, yeah, actually I have no idea. Given the existing engines have had the habit of not wanting to be engines anymore, this race sounds like it is destined for a comedy review. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to help the channel grow, and let's quickly roll that title card. We start the comedy review with the Who Have McLaren Fired This Week show. In the run-up to Mid-Ohio, the team announced the departure of Alexander Rossi at the end of the year. Apparently, this wasn't meant to be revealed yet, but the team brought forward the announcement after it was supposedly leaked. I wouldn't be shocked though if someone just took a guess and got lucky. The call was rather confusing given the Americans enjoyed a strong run of form as of late, but this is McLaren, and we weren't really expecting them to make logical choices, were we? Replacing Rossi will be Rahal Letterman Lanigan racer and Chief Cat Shagger Christian Lundgaard. Head over to Reddit if you don't get that one. Actually, do that at your own risk. Also in the news, Sauber are rumoured to have asked Andretti to field an extra entry for Teo Porcher, with Andretti rumoured to have told them to go f*** themselves. And Logan Sargent has been in talks to enter the series with a new Prema outfit in 2025, given it's an open secret now that James Vowles would rather hand that drive to a quadruple amputee at this point. All of that would fade into the background though, as opening practice got underway and attention turned to the all-new hybrid systems. And as the cars pull away, take a look on the horizon and you can see Stingray Rob stalling the 41 car already. There were also issues for Indy 500 winner Joseph Newgarden, who had alarms in the cockpit, either relating to his hybrid system or the fact that Nolan Seagull was coming up behind him. In the end, it turned out Joseph didn't need Seagull, he's quite capable of spinning on his own. We got another red flag when Agustin Canapino tried out Juncos' new rain light system. We could do that whole joke of Canapino's on fire, but after Detroit, I'm just sat here hoping he goes up Anakin Skywalker style. Yeah, you can wave to the crowd all you like, mate, you aren't going to win them over. The second half of the session would be greeted with rain, which saw both Armstrong and Jack Harvey spin off the road and lose their engines. That's okay though, as these new hybrid power units allow drivers to restart the cars manually. Oh wait, they don't work. The session would end with Rosenqvist running into Rasmussen, doing his Osama bin Laden impression, as last year's winner Alex Palou finished at the top of the timing tower. He would be replaced by the McLaren of O'Ward for practice 2, who was followed home by homeboy Graham Rahal, this track being one of the only ones not impacted by his chronic dementia yet. Colton Herta was looking to have a strong weekend, as he attempted to get his bottles out of the way ahead of qualifying. One off wasn't enough, it seemed, as the Andretti driver soon found himself in the wall and bringing out the red flags once more. We hadn't been green for long before Kiffin Simpson picked an interesting viewing spot, almost wiping out Newgarden in the process. At least this presented another opportunity for the hybrids to be refired again. Oh, never mind, that's not working either. This was of course the point last year where Simon Pagenaud went for a spot of acrobatics in the Meyer Shank car. And current driver Felix Rosenqvist was keen to pay tribute to his predecessor, adding his own little flair at the end when he came back on track like a f***ing maniac. That brings us nicely to qualifying, Group 1 kicking off with Little Dave continuing to show McLaren the finger as he bumped himself into the fast 12 and watched Seagull struggle down in 11th. The big shocks to fall were Kyle Kirkwood and Graham Rahal, who were both a little scared of some dust out of the final corner, causing them to start Sunday's race well down the order. And there would be even bigger surprises in Group 2, as Power, Dixon and Newgarden all failed to progress. Armstrong meanwhile led the way from Herta and Lundgaard, with Grosjean sneaking his way in and thus out of the clutches of Bellend here. The fast 12 would see Palou begin to stamp down his authority, as Malukas did a lap good enough to advance, and McLaughlin bumped Rossi only to be in turn bumped by the Andretti of Ericsson. That left us with a final 6-car shootout that was almost certainly about to be dominated by the 10 car. But that wouldn't be the case. That said, he still took pole though. All throughout the fast 6, Palou had Pato O'Ward staring right down his arsehole. When it came to the final set of runs, the pair were neck and neck, the Spaniard just edging the Mexican by 0.02 of a second in what was the closest IndyCar qualifying since some time which I can't be asked to look up. That takes us to race day, which would bring about its typical shenanigans, Canapino being Canapino and Bellend picking a new bitch in Rasmussen. With that out of the way, we could look forward to the green flag. Or could we? While I've moaned about the hybrid systems a little up to now, they hadn't caused any real problems by this stage. That was until the car set off on the formation lap, only to leave Malukas and Simpson stranded behind on pit road. Scott Dixon made it a little further, managing half a lap before his Ganassi gave up on life and, surprise surprise, didn't want to restart either. This problem was far more terminal as it turned out, and as a result we lost the opening 3 laps of the race, whilst the PNC Bank Honda was dragged away by the AMR safety team. When we did get going, Palou held the lead, O'Ward retained second, and Malukas kept hold of third, which sure was riveting. That seemed to set the tone of this one, as Alex Palou, who of course had some hybrid experience back when he was scamming McLaren last season, bolted away at the front and looked practically uncatchable without the intervention of a yellow. That's fine, this is Indycar, and the series can't seem to go 5 laps without someone using another driver as a brake assist. But not today, everyone deciding to be well behaved, and it's really not looking good, bruv. Since nothing was happening on track, let's take a look at the brand new timing tower for this weekend, which tells us cool if I'm being honest. This race was in fact so interesting, the extended highlights, which I'm using for reference as I generally fell asleep in this one, cut straight to lap 58, where Palou was still dominating, until he wasn't. The Spaniard made an uncharacteristic error during his final pit stop, pausing to read over his exit clauses, which allowed the McLaren of O'Ward to somehow sneak back past and into the lead. With the Ganassi still looking like the stronger car, we now had a dogfight on our hands. Further back, Joseph Newgarden was attempting something a little bit different on the alternate strategy, though this was going about as well as a presidential debate once someone removes Joe Biden's ball gag. The American's final stop saw him speed in the pit lane and pick up a drive-through penalty, which he proceeded to take while speeding through the pit lane again. Knowing Newgarden, he'll pop up next week in Iowa, claiming he didn't realise that was in the rules, then cry like a fucking baby again. Back to the battle at the front, and Palou was now right up O'Ward's rear end. The Ganassi had the benefit of having a lap teammate just up the road, giving Simpson in his own battle with Canapino. Simpson could theoretically play the team game here and hold the McLaren up, but either he refused, or if he was doing a remarkably job at it. Palou wasn't really helping himself either, trying to get in the mirrors of the car in front, but only scaring himself off the road in the process. With the end of the race fast approaching, it looked as if O'Ward had it in the bag. He'd overcome the massive early deficits of the Ganassi behind, pressure from all angles in the final laps, and even a late assassination attempt by Grosjean, which the commentators initially missed because, well, I assume they were also half asleep. After 80 laps, Pato O'Ward crossed the line first, winning a race on track for the first time in 2 years, but holy shit, was that boring. I mean, credit where credit is due to the series for not completely embarrassing themselves with a switch over to the hybrid power unit, but for the start of a supposed new era, I really hope this doesn't set a precedent going forward. We've been spoilt for IndyCar races in 2024, now let's pray we return to that standard chaos in Iowa next week. If it isn't obvious, I've had to scrape the bottom of the barrel for the material in this one, but if you still enjoyed the comedy review regardless, a sub to the channel would really mean a lot. I'm covering all of F1 and IndyCar this year, and we're getting into the business end of those seasons now, so there's plenty more to come. A final thank you goes out to all of my patrons and channel members who get early access and previews to these videos. If that's something that you're interested in, then head over to the links in the description down below. Anyway, I'll be back very soon with another video, but until then, have a good one.